We're we're live. Yes.
You're live. Hi, James.
Yeah. Hey, how are you?
I am excellent. How are you?
Well, like I was saying before,
You're live. Hi, James.
I don't know if there's a way to do that. I don't think there's a way to do that and have me hear you at the same time. It's
It's okay.
ah. But I was trying to get. I opened up my old computer, my old laptop that I've had for since 2009, because there was something on there that I needed to get off, and I couldn't figure out how to airdrop it or Dropbox it or do this. I had to put in a thumb drive. You remember those? Thumb drives. And I'd put in a thumb drive and plug it into that old computer and then take it and plug it into the new computer via an adapter. Ah,
Okay. So,
all
how
right.
can we be of help today to our listeners?
Well, anytime you experience some frustration like
Mm-hmm.
that, just remember that it's temporary and it's
Yes.
caused by your thinking.
Yes. That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
an interesting thought. So, what is the thought that is making you upset?
So
You know.
in this case, I'm wasting time on this. I'm
So
wasting
that's
time on,
that's okay.
or no, no, no. Actually, the thought is this shouldn't be this difficult.
Yeah. It shouldn't be that
Yeah,
difficult.
yeah.
Yes.
That,
Yeah.
that's that's a thought that caused me frustration a lot. What
Yes.
what about you? What's a thought that will cause you frustration a lot?
Um.
If you boil it down.
I was recently doing an exercise of recording my upsets, the recurring upsets in my
Hmm.
life.
Hmm. How
Uh,
were you recording them? Writing them down or?
Writing them down,
Okay.
yes. I am
Okay.
I'm doing a program called Landmark, and this is a Be Here Now program. And that was a session 6 or 7. And actually it was very helpful because I needed to record my upsets. Why am
Hmm.
I the things that come all the time? And
Hmm.
it was very interesting because it had me thinking about when we say that's insanity, keep doing the same thing and
Yes.
expecting a different result.
Right. Right.
And so by doing this exercise, I realized that my upsets were just ideas in my head
Yes.
and that the
Yeah.
way I was looking at them were keeping me in a bondage of being upset all the time. So I decided to look at them differently. And
Hmm.
actually, by recording them, I was able to take an action just
Uh-huh.
to eliminate the problem once for all. Like the problem we're having every time, you and I, when we start, you hear yourself. If
Yeah.
it's a recurring upset, it has been a matter of recurring upset.
Hmm.
So maybe what you could do, are you open to
Yeah.
me?
I'm open
Yes.
to.
Okay. Because so what you could do is we can record one offline and then just try and find a way and then fix it once for all. It won't happen again.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that's an action. So you're upset, um it's a way to point you to an action. You need to do something. You and I are conscious creators.
Hmm.
So because we observe our thoughts, because we are aware of what's going on, we are not passive. If we
Hmm.
don't do anything, we're passive. We're letting the thing hurt us. We're letting
Yeah.
the thing take us, on our something somewhere we don't want to be.
Yeah. Right. Right.
It's to record it, to say, every time I start recording with Sabelle, I'm upset because I hear my voice. How can I make that disappear? You take action on it once for all, and then it won't bother you anymore.
Yeah. Well, are you saying that we should record offline and then post it, or?
No, but we can do a fun recording about Sabelle and James trying to find a solution on
Okay.
how to
Okay.
get rid of.
Okay.
You see what I mean? So
Yeah.
it doesn't come on the way of what we're doing every day.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just an idea, a
Yeah. I
possibility.
like it.
Mhm.
Another thing that I was thinking as we were talking about the upsets, and my thought is it shouldn't be this way, is to do the Byron Katie approach to it and say, well, turn it around.
Mhm.
Should be this way. Of course, it should be this way. Of
Yeah.
course, it should be difficult because it's a technology. It's a device that I've had for 12 years now, and
Yeah.
it's old. And yeah, of course.
Yeah. And what it's telling me is that, and that's also something that I've learned, is that we're upset because we have an expectation. So you
Yes.
expect it to work and it's
Yeah.
not working, then you're upset.
Yeah. I
So
expected it to be easy. I expected it
exactly.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. We always have an expectation. What usually makes us, unhappy is expectations.
Oh yeah.
It's a big part in life. How is there a way, like, do you want to share about a time where you've been in an expectation mode and it didn't happen, and then it had you, go completely run havoc?
Oh, are you asking me to pull out an example right now?
You could, or we could, yeah, or it could go in another
Oh, let's
way.
see. But I'm not sure what. I'd have to think about it. I'm sure once I think about it, I could come up with
Yeah. What I
dozens of things.
of
And,
things.
and
What
like you're saying, it's like every time I'm upset, it's because there's an expectation that hasn't been met.
it's not always an expectation. There are four things that I learned that could be responsible of it, and I don't have the four in mind, but it was very powerful because I was able to pause every time I was upset to see why I was upset.
Mm,
Is Was it, I don't remember all of them, but basically, is it miscommunications, something that I haven't talked about, or was I um, expecting something that I again didn't let the other person know, or
right.
um, so there it was four things, but it was very interesting. And I guess what I want to say is that when we are conscious of our life, when we are conscious of what's happening, we are being observer of our thoughts, or we're tending to our heart, to our emotions. We have the opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to live a happier, healthier, better life,
Hmm.
because you're not just being taken away, through the waves and of the circumstances of your life. Because usually we can change circumstances, we can
Yeah.
change people.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
only thing we can change is how we react to them.
Yeah, what I liked when you said that the two of the four that you posed, and I'm assuming the other two are the same way. It's nothing about that is about the other person or the circumstance or anything like that. It's about how do I react? What could I do differently? It's all
Yeah.
about our reactions in the moment. It's not. It's
Yeah,
all about what we can do,
exactly.
not changing other people or changing other things.
The big idea, the captain idea, as Charlotte Mason would call it. Charlotte Mason, she was an educator in the early end of 1800s, beginning of 90s, and I've loved her philosophy. I think I've had the opportunity to talk about her anyway in the previous podcast, but she talked about the general idea, the captain idea. And so the captain idea in what I've been talking about upsets and everything else is in life, is that we are actually causing the matter, meaning that we are responsible of everything that happens to us.
Hmm.
Not like directly, like if we're walking on the street and we're hit by a car, we're not per se responsible of it, but we're still responsible because we went and walked. Maybe we didn't look right, and that's an extreme case. But usually, if we look at situations, things that happen to us in life, as us being the common point, actually, that we
Yeah.
have a responsibility. It's owning the things that happen to us, and
Yeah.
um knowing that we are always causing the matter. That's
Yeah.
how Landmark
Right.
says it.
Right. It's all about you. It's all about me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I can take an example. I think that will be very interesting. It's like the fact that I am separating now from my husband. I think for a long time I was blaming him, saying, "Oh, it's him. It's because he's like this, because it's like that."
Yeah.
And when I look at it now, there are reasons definitely that led me to that, and because I know I set my own boundaries, right? I set my own I know who I am, what I want, and I can decide that this works for me, this doesn't work for me. But overall, if it didn't work, it's not because of him, it's because of me.
Right.
Like I own my part, and then he will own his part too, right? And the
Yes.
minute I started looking that way, what it does is that it makes you have wonderful relationships with everyone.
Right.
So
Because
you're not
it's all about you.
angry about others.
Yeah.
You just have healthy relationships because that's your reactions. It's my reaction. It's my triggers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether like the person treats you well or not, it's how you are triggered.
Yeah.
We all have a capacity of accepting. I accept certain things that you don't accept, for example. So it's me. The common denominator is me.
Yes. Right.
So
Yes.
I think that was amazing. That's a freeing lesson. That's a freeing lesson for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if I shared this story with you before, but it's similar. I had a similar experience in my marriage as well, where I was blaming my wife for all my troubles. Right.
Yes.
I was blaming, and it wasn't until after we got divorced that I started really getting into coaching and thought work and looking at what's inside my head. And I remember one morning I was driving home. I had a long commute driving home from a class I was teaching, and my ex-wife calls me, and so since I'm driving, I was like, well, I'll take the call and we can have a conversation. And she said, I wanted to tell you something really important. And I said, okay, go ahead and tell me. And she said, in our marriage, I was I won't use the word on this podcast we want
Yes,
to make
because
it,
we are, we use clean words,
but,
beautiful words. We
but
love beauty, both of us.
yes, yes. But she said this, and the me who was still in my marriage, 5 years before or whatever, was said, yes, see, I told you. And and everybody told me this. And everybody told me that this is an unworkable relationship because my wife is being so,
Mm.
the word I can't say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would have, before I would have said, yes, I'm vindicated. There it is. There it is. There's the proof right there that none of this was my fault. But instead, I told her there were a lot of things that I did that I have my part in this as
Of
well.
course.
And she said, wow, I didn't expect to hear that. And I said, I didn't expect to say that either, but but
Shows
that's
growth.
how it is now. That's because of these realizations I'm having
Yeah,
about,
because you grow. You
yeah,
grow. It's
yeah,
growth.
yeah, and
It's
I'm
understanding.
accepting responsibility rather than playing the victim. Yeah,
Yes. There is, and yeah, that's a major, major step once
yes,
because in a victim mode, there is no understanding, there is no listening, there is
hmm,
no insight
yeah.
because
There's
you're
also no
trying,
power because there's nothing you can do if you're a
there
victim.
is nothing, no power,
Yeah,
and you're trying to prove your points. But when you put yourself in a position where you're ready to listen to the other person,
yeah,
then you can see the other person's point of view because in fine, I don't know how you say it in English, at the end of the day, you are right and she is right,
yeah.
right?
Two
And
things
we
can be
are
true.
two people trying
Yeah,
to live together.
yep,
We all have our set of experiences, life experiences that make us answer a certain way to circumstances and things of life.
hmm,
And we're trying to, make it work. And
right.
usually it doesn't work. And a lot of the marriages, like, do you know that second marriages have a higher percentage of divorce than first marriages? Do you know that?
I think I had heard that. Yeah, and I'm
Yes.
not
And what I've
surprised.
learned,
Yeah.
what I've learned is that usually we have blind spots.
Hmm.
We don't pause to see, okay, where am I causing the matter? Why did my marriage work? Because it's easier to put the blame, all the blame
It's
on the
either
other
to say
person.
that, yeah, my partner was not being
Yeah, he was
loving, my
like
partner
this, he was
was
like that.
whatever. Yeah.
And maybe that was right. but you still had a way of answering. Your answer, your response, your reaction is 100% yours. So people have blind spots. So you go, you get out of this relationship and then you rush into another one, or even if you take your time, but you haven't done the work, you go into another relationship, and then it just takes, at the beginning, it's beautiful, it's romantic. It's like, honeymoon. And then the real you starts to get out, the real you. And you start butting head with that new person.
Yes.
And two things. Either you stop and say, okay, I've been repeating the same thing, and then you try and change it, but most of the time we don't do that, because the result is that there's more divorces in second marriages. People don't see it. Usually it takes 3 times, before people open their eyes. Most people don't open their eyes. It means they don't stop to see, where am I? What's my responsibility? Right.
Yeah. And I noticed that for me, and after I got divorced, I had a 4-year relationship. It was very loving, but I noticed there were parts of it that rhymed. They weren't exactly the same, but they rhymed, and that's because like you say, the common denominator was yours truly, right? Yeah. So, yeah, that was a really, I guess the cliche is eye-opening. It was an eye-opening experience. Like, oh, well, wait a second. Who is the person who's the same in both of these?
Yeah. For me, the answer to everything is awareness.
Yeah.
Is knowledge. Once you know, you're aware. And then you can choose to act on it or not. But at least you know.
Yeah.
You don't have the blind spot anymore, and you decide what to do. And that's all why working with us, amazing coaches, is super important, because it really helps you see your blind spots.
Right, because it's so hard. It's so hard by yourself to see that, but it's easy for another person to see.
Like us, I have a coach, and I will have a coach all my life, because I can see clearly what's happening in you, but I'm very bad at seeing. I wouldn't say that. I think I see, because I'm very self-aware, I think. But I still have.
But there's still those spots. There's still those things where it's like, wait a second. Oh,
yeah. And so I love going to my coach every week, and then we can have those challenging, and what did I read? I read something yesterday about there is just a power, and I think I wrote it, and I want you to hear that. It's in the presence of question, the mind thinks.
Oh, okay.
I found that just genius. You know why? Because what the coach does, what we do, is that we ask you questions, and then you start thinking. But if nobody asks you those questions, you don't think.
Then you're not going to think. Yeah.
Because the mind is lazy. Yeah. It loves to make associations. You say a word, it's going to look around to look for evidences to prove yourself right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why you keep repeating the same patterns, the same destructive patterns, because that's how the brain works.
Yeah.
But in the presence of question, the mind thinks. I found that was genius. So I wrote it down.
Yeah, I love it. Well, we're a little over 15. So
that's good.
This was really good. This is a really good one today.
We're growing every day, right? Every day more. So the conversation.
Yep.
Yes.
Exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see I'm going to notice my frustration while I. Okay. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
All right.